And welcome to this online lesson. My name is Mr. Hoven, and today we're going to be doing a quick review of George Washington's farewell address and his urging the United States to stay neutral as he left office, as well as manifest destiny. So this is the first video in our final review. The rest will be some just repeats of older videos, just to refresh your memory and get your minds thinking about topics that might show up on your final. So let's go ahead and get started. Remember, our final theme is about the U.S.'s involvement in world affairs, our foreign policy. So what the U.S. is doing outside of our borders, not domestic. Domestic is stuff on the home front. Foreign is out in the world. What are we doing in the world? What are we doing? These 10 guys here. All right, I digress. So in Washington's farewell address, the who is George Washington. He makes his speech in Philadelphia, which was the nation's capital at that time, in September 1976. In his farewell address, he makes a lot of recommendations to the United States. He sets the precedent that presidents should only serve 2 4-year terms. He urges the United States to stay out of a two-party system because it would lead to quarrels among the candidates and nothing would really get done. Kind of like what we're doing now. But his biggest thing that he was urging the United States to do was to stay out of foreign alliances and foreign treaties and entanglements because it's going to lead to conflicts and war. That's the big one. Urging the United States to stay out of foreign alliances, treaties, and entanglements because it'll lead to war. So why should we listen to Washington? Well, foreign affairs, a lot of people say, aren't our business. We shouldn't be involved. I mean, look at Vietnam. People thought we shouldn't be there. It was a civil war. It wasn't our problem. Staying neutral would help keep us safe. If we're not involved in so many things, people won't be so mad at us. We're not going to make enemies if we're not involved. And we shouldn't be the world's policeman. It's not our job to police the world and make sure that everyone is safe because it's putting us at risk. Those are just some arguments of why we should listen to Lincoln. Now, have we tried to listen to Washington? I meant Washington, not Lincoln. Washington. Have we tried to listen to Washington? Yeah. I mean, look at the beginning of World War I. We tried to stay out. We were kind of helping out both sides. World War II, same thing. We were trying to stay neutral. Look at the League of Nations. When that was created, we wanted to stay out. Congress voted to stay out of it. We were worried that it would lead to war. So there's some examples of us listening. League of Nations staying out of beginning of World War I, beginning of World War II. Monroe Doctrine isolates us, draws that line in the sand. The Western Hemisphere will control. Eastern Hemisphere, Europe, you can deal with that, but we'll keep this side clear. But haven't we? I think there's some instances that we haven't listened to Washington. For instance, we got involved in the war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, Crimea. We're involved, even though not militarily wise, but in Ukraine right now. Looking in the past, you look at World War I and II, we got involved. Yes, there were events that got us involved, the sinking of Lusitania, Pearl Harbor, things like that, but we still got involved. World's policemen, imperialism. We're all over the world, taking over, buying Alaska, but taking over Hawaii, different parts of the Pacific. There's a lot of examples of us being involved when we weren't supposed to. So another big topic going along, similar to Washington, is manifest destiny. And that was right after the United States. We won our independence from Great Britain. We were the 13 original colonies. We had an addition in 1783. So we were looking to expand westward. And manifest destiny was the belief that the United States was destined by God to extend its boundaries all the way to the Pacific. So God's glory that we should go from sea to shining sea. So why go west? Why were people so intrigued with this going west? Well, people were looking for natural resources, land, gold, furs. There was rich farmland. Stories of how fertile the farmland was ranged throughout the East Coast and encouraged farmers to pull up roots and to settle out west in search of better land for their cattle and for their crops. There was a chance to spread religious beliefs. Marcus and Narcissa Whitman went out to spread their religious beliefs. And there was progress moving west. There was railroads, chance to make money, chance for adventure. So just a little recap. Why go west? Why was that idea of manifest destiny so important to the United States? So we're going to look at a few, not all, but a few of the major additions to the U.S. that allowed us to expand westward. So first was the Louisiana Purchase. And Thomas Jefferson right here purchased Louisiana Territory from Napoleon, who's right there behind Lewis and Clark, for $15 million. Costs about roughly 5 cents an acre. Double the size of the United States. Doubled the size. We got it for cheap. And then Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark to explore this new land and learn about the plants, animals, and possible areas for future settlement. This happened, here's your when, 1803. Who? Thomas Jefferson. Napoleon. What? Louisiana Purchase. What did it do? It doubled the size of the United States. It gave us more land, control of the Mississippi River. It gave us all sorts of things. Control of the Mississippi River is really important because if we control the Mississippi River, control the port of New Orleans, we have exclusive trading rights. So that'd be a big what or a big why or how to put in there. How is it benefiting us? Control of the Mississippi River, control of the port of New Orleans, different things like that. So there's one example of manifest destiny. The next one was the addition of Texas with the annexation. So on March 2nd, 1836, Texas declares its independence from Mexico. Sam Houston, there's a who, Sam Houston, there's your who, was named as the commander-in-chief of Texas forces. He gathered an army of 900 troops at San Jacinto to take on Santa Anna's 1,300 troops. Houston forces killed more than 600 soldiers and captured 700 more, including Santa Anna. And on May 14th, there's a when, 1836, Santa Anna signed a treaty recognizing the independence of Texas. So the Lone Star Republic. In September 1836, our who again, Sam Houston, was elected president, and he sent word to Washington asking the U.S. to annex or add on Texas. President Jackson refused to do this. Jackson was the president at the time because he believed Texas would upset the balance of free and slave states. So Texas remained its own country. So then we had to annex Texas. Remember, our who is Sam Houston. He's the leader of Texas at the time. Another who would be James K. Polk, FYI. Texas faced debt and other difficulties after becoming independent. Southerners wanted to annex Texas, but Northerners opposed this. The idea of manifest destiny was on the minds of the presidential candidates in 1844. James K. Polk, who became president, signed the order in 1845 for Texas to become a state. Oregon became one as well, keeping the balance of power in the Senate. So again, our who, Sam Houston, James K. Polk. Our what? Annexation of Texas, adding it on. Some of the other stuff of the what would be adding Oregon at the same time. Our when? 1845. Our where? Texas, the United States. Our why? Manifest destiny. That's big. Manifest destiny. We're getting involved. We're getting land. We want to move westward. Furs, natural resources, spreading religious belief, adventure, progress, all moving west. And finally, we just want to quickly talk about the Mexican-American War. President Polk saw the New Mexico territory and California as belonging to America. Mexico, however, still claimed Texas as its own. The dispute over the location of the Texas-Mexico border of different rivers was contested, and Polk plotted to gain them through war, but must make Mexico strike first. So after the Mexican-American War, there was the Mexican Cession in 1848. Mexico seceded California, gave up, and New Mexico to the U.S. for $15 million. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, Mexico gave up Texas and agreed to the Rio Grande as the border between Texas and Mexico. Finally, the Gadsden Purchase, the final part of Manifest Destiny, in 1853, was a strip of land along the present-day Arizona and New Mexico border was purchased from Mexico. With the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the Mexican Cession, giving up land, and Gadsden Purchase to the United States, it reaches present size. So Manifest Destiny is completed. Why is the Gadsden Purchase important, Mr. Hoven? That's what finished up Manifest Destiny. I hope you enjoyed this online lesson, and we'll see you next time.